Frankie's been a close friend, and obviously he's the CEO of First Data. But I want you to tell the audience, Frank, a little bit about your upbringing, how you grew up, and how that impacted your corporate career, because you didn't have like a sort of corporate career beginning, I don't think.
Not at all. Grew up in Brooklyn, New York, immigrant household. Dad was an orphan, one of 16. And it wasn't until late in life I realized how much of him being an orphan and caring for kids and people, and wore a government uniform his whole life, protected this country. You'd go down on a holiday.
Wore a government uniform. What did he do for a living?
He first had a military career, and then he had a DEA agent and customs agent, protecting our borders, which is an interesting thing to say in this day and age. But I grew up with a guy who protected the borders and tried to keep drugs out of the country. We grew up on a street where everybody was created equal, and doors were always open. And I think from my mom and dad, I learned how to accept diversity, accept inclusion, never want for anything, but it was always go be good to people, do a good thing. And so I also say, if you sit in a basement with a wooden table with 32 relatives and every man there served the country, it kind of motivated me during the crisis to do things as I did at J.P. Morgan with that great company, like creating a 100,000 jobs mission to get military vets when they came back jobs.
But would it be fair to say that your upbringing it's not a corporate style upbringing? I mean, your dad wasn't a...
No, I can never talk to anybody about what I really did, and I think mom always worried, wow, is that too much stress? I mean, do you want to, as I began, for me, ringing the bell for the largest IPO of the year in 2015, when my first job was an intern at Bear Stearns and then working on the floor, was kind of a very interesting moment. The floor of the New York Stock Exchange was kind of where I grew up.
So you had this unbelievable success in your life, but tell us a little bit about some of the failures, some of the setbacks that you've had, and what did you do from a personality perspective to rebuild yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember running a big business at Citi, which we ultimately turned into a great business, but it was struggling. It was called Global Transaction Services. I remember, sitting at a table, and we couldn't figure out how to get it right, so to speak. And it was a pinnacle moment, and I thought, who was I going to get to help me run it as a partner? I went and called a guy I knew, Jay Nussbaum, who was a great sales leader at Oracle. And I think that moment was a defining moment, because you can't muscle everything yourself. You got to count on a team. And a lot of my career, I thought I could get this done. But today, I think the most important thing is who you surround yourself with. It's not you, the leader. It's all the people that you bring to the party and let them work it. And I figured out right that day that, going to get the best people humanly possible and allowing them to be completely able to execute is more important than trying to muscle things in yourself.
When you're in a situation, you have somebody at work that you're trying to coach, and you're trying to say, okay, you're not hitting the right notes. What's the best approach? How would you approach that, Frank?
I'm direct. I only know one way to be direct, so I kind of like to say I give people performance reviews every day in our dialogue. And, I think about ball players. Ball players every day are getting coaching. The best ball players out there working really, really hard, has a coach, is very coachable. So I like to have my team be coachable, and I want to talk always to them. I think being tight as a team matters. Getting other guys, I was fortunate to work for a guy named Don Parcells, Bill Parcells' brother, and taught me a lot about how to get other players to help each other. And so, but I have to be direct.
So how do you get other players to help each other?
Make the team more important than the individual. Explain, look, we took a company at First Data that was over 10x levered, had no free cash, $24.5 billion of debt, and had gone through, depending on how you count, 6 or 7 CEOs in same time period. It was a low mortality rate job. And we brought a team together, and all that mattered is that we were going to get this company profitable. We were going to become a leader in the space we operated. So I think a North Star for the team, it's important the type of guys you put on your team, and guys are women and men and all types of diversity. I think allowing people to support each other is a big deal.
You're on everybody's radar screen now. And digital payments are becoming a more important part of the entire ecosystem of commerce. How did you get there, and where are you going with First Data?
Yeah, well, digital payments is an output of the iPhone. If you think about it, if you go back in time. And, First Data had this incredible infrastructure touching millions of small businesses across the world. And large businesses, some of the largest, the best names you know. And the idea that we can help people transact, it's all about the consumer. How do we help the consumer make life easier for themselves? And how do we help the business, in fact, transact it more easily? And you go back to how many people, 5 years ago went into Starbucks and put their phone out and was making a payment. And the whole world wanted to emulate that. We were the engine for that.
You think we'll be in a cashless society, Frank, where paper is gone and our phone or our fingerprint will be the
it's
currency?
interesting. There are countries that we're still converting to start taking cards. We have a huge business in India where there was a big drive a year and a half ago when we brought technology in there. And, I grew up in financial services. I grew up running banks and, like I said, on the Florida Stock Exchange. And, I can remember people thinking the ATM was going to cause banks not to. Well, everything's going to transform. But, and I do see cash continuing to become less in the world. I think there will be a day. I think it's a long, long way from today, though.
What are some of the initiatives you got going now that will further that process?
Yeah, the car. Putting payments into cars, allowing that car, and the car companies are doing a fabulous job of thinking about how to enable payments. We love enabling a payment at the pump, but how do we take it further? How do we let you know where that favorite
okay, so take us through that. So you're in the car, you're driving by the McDonald's, you can order the food right there in the car.
Yeah.
Try not to kill yourself while you're doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you pull into the McDonald's and the stuff's ready for you and it's already been paid for.
100%. You can think of it this way. Maybe you don't know there's a McDonald's for starters, and you start off with fast food. And then it'll give you a list, and then you click, and maybe you got the McDonald's loyalty app on your phone, and you're getting credits, you're paying, but you're not using your phone, you're using your car, and you never have to take your phone out of your pocket, and that will be here very soon.
Do you eat fast food, Frank?
Oh yeah, I love Mickey D's.
Yeah, what else do you eat?
I eat it all.
Eat it all.
But nothing's better. Nothing's better than salami and provolone.
Right.
We grew
up that way. So when I was on a campaign with Trump. He was ordering like Burger King and Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll figure out First Data how to get the payment into the plane. So when the plane's landing, they can bring the Jimmy John's right over to Air Force One. You got companies like Amazon, PayPal, other companies that are trying to get into your space. Do you welcome that? Is that something? Are you cooperating with them? they're selling stuff, and so you need to probably be attached to them in some ways, but like, how do you manage the cooperation and the competition?
Well, the first day I showed up at First Data, obviously there was a big press article about me taking the job as the CEO. The second day, there was a front page article that a card brand company and a payment company was suing us, and Henry Kravitz called up and said, First Day has never been on the front page. It's on the front page 2 days in a row. And I had no idea what this lawsuit was about. Well, my view was, that's kind of crazy. We got to be friends with everybody. We got to enable everybody. And we came out and said we would be the grand collaborator. We built a product called Clover, which sits in small and medium-sized businesses, to take every developer who wanted to reach small businesses, and we made it an open environment. I said First Data would be the grand collaborator. And our thought was always like, our job is to enable payments. And so whether it's PayPal, whether it's Amazon, all of them are our partners. And my belief is that my job was to make our, as I call it, our real estate so darn valuable that people wanted to use our real estate, and that would include our technology rails and our clients, and how can we bring more value to clients. So my thought is collaborate with everybody, partner with everybody, and be that valuable. And you saw that with Apple Pay. That's how Apple Pay played out for us.
Cybersecurity, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the issues with hacking and corporate espionage, governmental espionage. What are you guys doing to protect yourselves? What do you recommend to other people? And how do you prevent the fraud?
Well, I kind of go, as you know, I'm old, so I've been around a long time, and it used to be data security.
Are you as old as Lynn Forrester? I mean, she's like outed herself out here about 15 minutes ago. Are you as old as her?
I'm not as old as her, but God bless her.
All right, wait, she
God
looks
bless
great.
her.
She just told me she had her test done at the Canyon Ranch. She's like 37 biologically, so
I know.
I got to go to the Canyon
I'm a
Ranch.
huge fan. I need
no,
all
it's
that
amazing.
help. But it was data security, then it was information security, and it became cybersecurity. And I always think the biggest threat is the insider. And I'd say, look at...
What do you mean? Someone inside the
people
company?
inside the company.
Committing fraud.
Yeah. Fraud, stealing data, and generally technology, So I say, you need to... surveil the interior and patrol the perimeter.
Interesting.
So you need to make sure that you have the right levels of security, which also starts with the type of talent you bring into your company. I believe you got to bring the best in the world to build the defense, and you want the best defense in the world because everybody's going at everyone's data, healthcare data, payment information, client data, where the money is. So I think it's you gotta make sure your policies on how code gets put into your systems. I always wake up and worry about that code that got put in that 3 years from now is going to do something bad. So surveilling all that code in a very difficult way, hacking yourself as much as humanly possible, and then having a perimeter that's as well locked down. But it's a talent management game, because there are superstars at that
But
talent.
when you list the things that you're worried about, is that in the top?
Cyber one.
Cyber one. What's number 2?
2 is disruption. The world's change. You need to enable disruptors. You need to partner with disruptors. But, you could have a vaulted position, but if you're not paying attention, somebody will come and take it right away from you.
Frank, before we leave, you have a lot of wisdom in your personality. You've done a lot of amazing things. So there's a lot of young people here. What couple of words of wisdom and advice that you would give young people as they're building their careers?
That old people are pretty darn smart. I mean, whenever I give a...
I got to get together with my sons.
Yeah. Whenever I give a commencement speech, I talk about wisdom only comes with age, And of course, you know, I was blessed to learn under some of the greatest, whether it was Sandy, Jamie, you know, Tony Terciano years and years ago, and recognize that the world is changing, and if you're young, you're gonna have a dream to change it, but learn from those who already went through this change.
All right, it's great lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Bisignano, CEO of First Data. Thank you.